Test. All right, good afternoon, fans, and welcome to Municipal Stadium, a doubleheader featuring your Post University Eagles taking on Southern Connecticut State University, the second matchup of the weekend between the two teams as the teams hit the field yesterday down in Southern Connecticut. Stepping to the plate first for the Owls will be Chad Fideli, hitting .213 with no home runs and 13 RBIs coming into this game as we're ready to get underway here rather quickly from Municipal Stadium. Starting a couple minutes before the 12 o'clock hour here on this Sunday. It's misting outside kind of lightly here at the stadium as Joe Cristiano will take the mound for the Eagles in search of his 20th career win. He is closing in on the all-time record. As that one's hit right back up the middle by Fideli. It's a base hit, and he's on base with a leadoff single for the Owls. Now Brennan Stobley coming to the plate, hitting .235 on the year with 2 home runs and 7 RBIs. Stobley had a couple of hits in yesterday's doubleheader for the Owls. Eagles came back in both of those games to win, or I should say they were tied 1-1 in Game 1 and were able to put up 5 runs between the 6th and 7th inning to take that one 6-1. And then in Game 2, trailing 3-2, were able to come from behind in the 6th and 7th to take that one 8-5 and get themselves the doubleheader sweep. Check over on first, and Fideli back in there without a problem. So runner on base, 1-0 count for Cristiano, who is making his 5th start of the year. He's 2-0 with a 6.27 ERA so far in about 18 2/3 innings pitched, now 19 on the dot. So that one's outside for a ball, 2-0. Starting lineup for the Owls goes Fideli, Stobley, Gradovia, Drury, Dillon, Albert, Drukas, and Jagello. And Colin Blake on the mound is another check over on Fideli at first. Christiana gets ready with the 2-0. Fires home, and that one's low for a ball in the dirt. Nice scoop by Perez as we quickly take a look at your defensive alignment for post. Perez behind the plate, Rivera at third, Afala at short. Rene Vega at second. On the infield at first base is Mako Cardona. Designated hitter is Jalen Kelly. We'll get to the outfield in a moment after this pitch. As that one's in there for a strike, and the count now moves to 3-1. On the outfield, it's Hayden Roberge, Damari Rodriguez in center, and Isaiah Velasco in right. That one swung on and fouled off. Count moves to 3-2. About 45 degrees, give or take, here at Municipal Stadium. A chilly day with a little bit of wind. It was a little warmer yesterday and then kind of cooled down as things went on with home softball yesterday. That 3-2 is sliced on the ground. That's going to be a base hit. A tough play for Alfala to make, and around the bases they're going to go. Fideli being waved home. He will score in the second safely with a double is Stabley. And just like that, early on, the Owls take a 1-0 lead on the Stabley RBI double. It's 1-0 Owls as they get on the board for the first time in this weekend series ahead early on. Eagles scored first in each of the first two matchups yesterday. Runner on second for Gruda Daria as he steps in, and that one's in there for a strike. 0-1 the count. Christiana with the 0-1. That one's fouled off to the left side out of play. No one, Rivera or Roberge, are going to be able to get over there. And speaking of Roberge, he comes into the game with 97 hits in his career. He got 3 more yesterday, so he's 3 away from reaching 100. That's not just that post. He played a few years at Norwich University as well at the Division III level. So between here and Norwich, he has a chance to reach 100 career hits in today's doubleheader. Joe Christiana in his last start became the all-time leader in strikeouts with 192, right on the dot too. Nonetheless, in that outing against Caldwell, as that one's fouled off to the left side again, out of play. Count remains 1-2. And Justin Rivera in the last home doubleheader was able to reach 150 career hits between his time here at Post and with Bloomfield College, where he played 2 years before. It's a lot of milestones as Christiana is closing in on a couple records as well, in addition to the ones he already has reached. The all-time wins record is well within his reach already. 2 away from that, from tying it. And then the innings pitched record, he's about 40 to 50 off of the pace of that one. So if he keeps up at the pace he's going, he should hit it during the CACC tournament. The Eagles come into conference play, or continue conference play, at 10-0 so far to start the year, as that one's fouled behind the screen. And this will go to a 7th pitch of the at-bat, 3 straight foul balls by Gruda Daria, only the 3rd hitter to come to bat here in the first inning. We got one other game going on as well. Women's lacrosse taking on Holy Family at home in their home opener. They just had 18 days off after their first game of the year against Chestnut Hill. They currently trail 2-0 after the first 3 minutes of that one. Women's lacrosse will also be home on Tuesday against Caldwell, as will baseball. That one's fouled off, and we'll do it again, 1-2. Baseball will be at home back in CACC conference play against Wilmington for a couple of games starting at noon. Women's lacrosse will get underway at 2 at Lemoyne. We'll be right back here, though, for that matchup on Tuesday starting at noon. Christiana again with the 1-2, and that one's chopped on the ground to the left side. Rivera grabs it, fires over to first. And retired is Grudidaria for the first out. No advancement by Stobley at second, so Drury will come to the plate. Cleanup hitter battering .254 on the year with 3 home runs and 10 RBIs. 1 out here in the first. 1 run already in on the double by Stobley after the leadoff single by Fideli. Stobley's double was a bit of a tough one for Alfala to handle at short, a high chopper that came up on him. And again, the grounds are a little wet as well today because there is still a light mist in the air and some fog in the distance. 0-1, chopped on the ground to second. Vega over there, picks it up and fires over to first. Going over to third is Stobley, but 2 away now here as that's a big second out for Christiana to try and limit the damage here in the first inning. Patrick Dillon will come to the plate now with 2 outs and a chance at an RBI. Dillon leading the team with a .342 batting average, 6 home runs, 25 RBIs. He's walked 13 times on the year as well. Christiana fires. That one's in there for a strike, 0-1. The Owls as a team hitting .280 so far on the year. On the pitching side of things, they are at a 4.25 ERA, and they're going to say Dillon went around and swung, so that will be an 0-2 count now to the cleanup hitter. Back-to-back hits to start this inning by the Owls. Then Cristiano was able to retire the next 2. Can he get out of this inning? He will. Swung on and missed by Dillon. And that'll do it. So, 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, 1 left on base for the Owls. We head to the bottom of the first. We'll get the starting lineup for you right here on the screen momentarily for your Eagles as they have a little bit of a shakeup in the lineup compared to what we've usually seen from them here at home. Jesse Alfala at short. Renee Vega will hit second, playing second. Damaris Rodriguez in center field batting third. Justin Rivera, cleanup hitter, batting fourth. Hayden Roberge in left field batting fifth. Isaiah Velasco batting sixth in right. Mako Cardona playing first in the seventh spot. Jalen Kelly will be the designated hitter. And Eric Perez will do the catching, and I'm realizing on the screen right now that those images do not match some of the players. We apologize for that, as there was a late change to some of the people, so we'll take that off the screen for you right now. And as we head to the bottom of the first, there'll be Colin Blake on the mound for the Owls. Jesse Alfala, who, pulling up my notes here momentarily, his on-base streak, he's played in every game he's played so far this year, he has reached base safely for the Eagles. Whether by hit or by walk, Alfala now coming into today as he comes into this at-bat. All 18 games he's played so far this season, he has reached base safely. And the Eagles, who are riding also an 8-game winning streak coming into today, that's their longest streak since 2018. From April 22nd to May 1st, they went on an 8-game winning streak. They've also swept 6 consecutive doubleheaders coming to this one, 5 of which were conference, and then the 6th one being yesterday's non-conference matchup against the Owls. And speaking of the Owls, on the mound, Colin Blake comes in this game with a 2.10 ERA, a 3-1 record overall, 5 appearances, 4 starts, and 1 complete game. He's also got a save on the year. He's pitched 30 innings, 15 hits, 10 runs allowed, 7 of them earned, 20 strikeouts to 10 walks. He's only given up 5 extra base hits so far this year. And like we said, he'll be matched up against an Eagles team that's been very hot as of late, obviously winning 8 in a row. They started the year 0-7, and since then have only lost 1 game. So if you're doing the math at home, 13 of their last 14 games, they have won after that 0-7 start. Alfala steps in, leads the team playing. He's played in all 18 games so far this year, hitting .433, a team-leading .433 with 10 RBIs and only 1 extra base hit. He's scored 18 times and stolen 1 base so far this year. He's walked 19 times while striking out only 14, as that one is fouled away Count is 0-1. Eagles on the road so far this year have been 9-0. In neutral site games, 0-7, and at home, a 4-1 record. That one loss to Southern Connecticut State to Southern New Hampshire University back over the spring break. And since then, the Eagles have won 8 in a row after that. 0-2 the count quickly from Blake. That one's chopped back to Blake. He's going to easily fire that one over to first, then retire Alfala for the first out of the inning. So if Alfala wants to extend his on-base streak, he'll have to do it in the next at-bat, as he's retired 1-3 to start the bottom of the first inning, and that will bring Rene Vega, who had a big afternoon yesterday. Him and Damari Rodriguez were a big reason why the Eagles were able to sweep that doubleheader down in New Haven, as that one's fouled off to the left side, out of play. 0-1 the count. Blake staring in on Vega with the 0-1. That one's upstairs. Count moves to 1-1. Third pitch of the at-bat up high, and count moves to 2-1. Vega and Rodriguez combined yesterday, I believe it was 8 RBIs. Looking for it right now. Drove in yesterday by just those two by themselves. And the Eagles scored 12 of their 14 runs in the 6th and 7th innings alone in that sweep, as Vega takes that one for a strike. Count moves to 2-2. Just on off the outside corner, count will go full now. Vega's been very patient this year at the plate for a freshman, is able to put together a .386 campaign so far in 20 games played with 8 RBIs, 22 hits, and 57 at-bats. He's started 16 games. That one's fouled off to the left side, out of play, and we'll do it again with a 3-2 count, as both pitchers have had to work early on pretty heavily with the second hitter of their appearance. First with Christiana in the top of the first, when Stabley's eventual hit is now Vega fouls off another one as the count remains full, and this will be pitch number 8 of the at-bat. On the infield for the Owls, it's Drury, Fideli, Dillon, and Jagalo from right to left, first to third. Blake on the mound. And Stabley behind the plate, as that one is just outside for a ball, and the count will allow Vega to go to first with a walk. So the Eagles will have one on with one out here in the first inning, with Rodriguez coming to the plate, who, again, like I mentioned, had a pretty good day yesterday. He's hitting .412 on the year now, with 1 home run and 17 RBIs. Across his 21 games played, 18 starts. And that one's outside for Blake. From Blake, 1-0 the count. Eagles as a team hitting over 300 at 324 now. The pitching, which struggled at the start of the year, has started to piece it together at 5.09 ERA, again because of some early season struggles, but they've started to piece it up down the stretch, and that's how they've been able to go on this run of 13 of their last 14 games being winners for them, and a perfect 10-0 start in conference play, which is their best start in program history. In fact, 8-0 was their best start in program history too, but they continue to rack up the wins in that area. Check over to first, not in time, and Vega quickly back. Vega 2 for 4 on stolen bases. Rodriguez actually leads the team with 5 stolen bases in 6 attempts so far this season. 2-0 coming. That one's just off the plate, 3-0. So Blake starting to lose a little bit of his control here on the second part of the at-bat against Vega, and now this at-bat against Rodriguez. Is Rodriguez in the driver's seat with the 3-0 count. Probably won't be swinging unless he finds something he likes, and that one's low in the dirt for ball 4, and Rodriguez is going to walk to first. And that'll put runners on first and second with 1 out. Again, Eagles trailing by 1 against Blake, who, like you mentioned, coming to this game, the second best ERA on the team. And he also has the most innings pitched of anybody on the team so far. And Justin Rivera, the cleanup hitter, will come to the plate. Like you mentioned, 150 career hits reached for him at the last home doubleheader. That one's in there for a strike, 0-1. Rivera hitting .373 on the year, 2 home runs, 17 RBIs. He's also been a mainstay at the hot corner at third base. It's a .920 fielding percentage so far this year. A couple errors early on as that pitch is going to be in the dirt, and that's going to skip away from Staubly, and the runners are going to advance to second and third now with 1 out here. So 2 in scoring position for the Eagles on that wild pitch by Colin Blake, who 4 or 5 of his last 6 pitches have been for, or 6 of his last 7 have actually been balls so far. Blake looking to see if he can get some of his control back here on the next one as he gets Rivera to chop that one foul, and do it again now with a 1-2 count. So Blake ahead now in the count 1-2 for the first time in a couple of ABs, and it'd be a big second out here because the sacrifice is a potential right now for Rivera if he can hit something to the outfield and get a run across, and you hit it to, depending on where you hit it on the left or right side, you could potentially get Vega to score from third as well. That pitch is high. He had a pitch to waste there, and we'll move to 2-2 the count. 2 hits in the top of the first for Southern Connecticut. Staubly's RBI double, the only run we've got so far. We're playing 9 innings in game 1, 7 in game 2, just like they did yesterday. That one's hit on the infield, and looks like over at second base to grab it is going to be Fideli, so nothing doing there for Rivera. That's a big second out as Hayden Roberge now strolls to the plate. With 2 outs and runners on second and third. Roberge hitting .325 on the year. He had a 10-plus hit streak, 10-plus game hitting streak earlier in the season as before that was snapped. He's still been very consistent in the box, like we mentioned, .325 batting average, 11 RBIs on the year. He's also 3 for 5 stealing. He's mostly played in the outfield, although he can also play on the infield at first base as well. Blake will look to see what he can do to get out of this inning as that pitch is high for a ball. 1-0 the count. Two on, 2 out as the Eagles look to try and tie this one up here early on in the first inning. One's over the plate for a strike, and the count moves to 1-1. So far this year, the Eagles are the team scoring 139 runs in 21 games. Offense has also picked up over the last couple of weeks. They had that big weekend as that's going to be a hit batter for looked like for a moment I thought they were going to say that he got in the way of that one. But the bases are going to be loaded for Isaiah Velasco now with 2 outs. And big chance to cash in on some runs here for the Eagles. The pitching staff for Southern Connecticut struggled, at least the bullpen did. Again, we mentioned that 4.25 ERA. It was Brandon San Marco who took the loss yesterday for the Owls in game number 2. 3 appearances now for him, 5 2/3 innings. He's given up 7 runs. That one's hitting the air foul. The 0-1 count to Velasco, who coming to this game is also hitting .300. All the Eagles hitters on the sheet in front of me, except for 2 in Harvey Valera and Eric Perez, who have still been very consistent when it comes to offensive production, are hitting over .300 to start the season. Valera hitting 250 and Perez hitting 234, but Perez has also driven in 12 runs and Valera has driven in 8, so they've accounted for 20 runs even with that average below 300 like the rest. As Velasco takes that pitch right down the pipe, and he takes it looking, and that'll be strike number 3 to end the bottom of the first. So, no runs on no hits and no errors. 3 left on base. Eagles keep Strandham loaded. As we head to the second, it'll be 1-0 Southern Connecticut. You're listening to Post Baseball here on the CACC Network and YouTube. We'll be back momentarily as the top of the second gets underway with Albert, Drukas, and Jagello coming to bat. Top of the second getting underway. It's going to be Augie Albert strolling to the dish for Southern Connecticut, who leads 1-0 after the first inning. First pitch from Christiana outside for a ball. 1-0 the count. Trying to find Albert's numbers on here. This might be the first game he's playing in, as that one skied into center field. And over to get it is Rodriguez for the first out, and Albert is retired right away. Center fielder, number 0, Isaiah Walker. And now Isaiah Walker coming to the plate with 1 out here. So Christiana, after allowing those back-to-back hits to start the game, has retired the last 4 hitters from Southern Connecticut. And he'll have a tough test in Walker here, who's hitting .304 with 2 home runs and 10 RBIs at the bottom of the lineup. He squares around a bunt, doesn't, and that pitch is in there for a strike, 0-1. Outside for a ball, so count moves to 1-1 for Christiana. Christiana quick to fire as well for ball number 2. We do have the pitch clock as well. That is new to college baseball this year at this level. So pitchers only have 20 seconds to fire at home. It's just like at the MLB level in terms of how that works. Is that one's chopped at the middle. Alfala looks to dive, can't make the play, and that'll be a base hit for Walker, who gets on base. And I'll bring Drukas to the plate now with 1 out and a runner on first. Excuse me, Drukas. Drukas, this is only his 5th game played this year. He's hitting .125 coming into it with 2 RBIs on the year. So, and looking back at Augie Albert, like I said, couldn't find him. This is only his 8th game of the year. He was hitting .250 before his at-bat with 1 home run and 1 RBI. But now strolling to the dishes. Drukas with 1 out and 1 on. That pitch is in there for a strike, 0-1. Christiana checks over at first, and no movement from Walker there. That one's in there for a strike, and now the count moves to 0-2. Three hits so far for the Owls through the first 1 1/3 innings against Christiana. Nothing for Post so far as another check over on Walker at first. Drokas will await the 0-2. Way outside. The count moves to 1-2. Seems like the mist is stopped for the time being. I'm sure it'll start up at some point again. It is very chilly for this game as we round out the home schedule for all our March team, or for all our spring teams for March. Still plenty of action coming up in April as that one is lined on the ground. It's a base hit for Drokas. Walker's going to stop at second, and there's 2 on now for the Owls with only 1 out. In the bottom of the lineup coming up. Derek Gigello coming to the plate now, hitting .220. He's played in all 21 games so far. Both these teams coming to the game with identical records at 13-8 after the doubleheader sweep by the Eagles yesterday. The Eagles were 11-8 before that. The Owls 13-6. Now Gigello will see if he can bring in Walker and maybe Drokas as well, as that one's fouled off to start the at-bat. If you're Christiana, you want to try and get out of this inning unscathed. If you can get a double play ball here, that would be huge, because waiting in the wings is the leadoff hitter in Fideli, and then Staubli, who had hits off you in the first inning. 0-1. They're going to call a balk on Christiana, and the runners are going to get to advance automatically. No pitch, still 0-1. But it's a balk that's going to move the runners over to second and third. So now the double play ball is out of play with Gigello up, and now the sacrifice fly is in play for, I apologize, that does count as a ball, so the count does move to 1-1. 1-1 count, 1 out, second and third. Christiana fires, swung on and missed by Gigello. It'd be big if Christiana can get a strikeout here, because you don't have any force out at the plate. Your only force out now, with the runners on second and third, is first base. So you want to try and get out of this inning without any damage being done. You have to possibly do it by way of the strikeout first, and then get the leadoff hitter and Fideli out of there. It also is the option, obviously, if there's something hit on the ground on the infield, to go for the fielder's choice at home this early in the game. It is an option. The corners do look like they're a little bit closer in for the Eagles, and that won't matter, as that's a strikeout for Gigello, or for Christiana against Gigello. 2 away, and now you just have to worry about getting Fideli out, and you're out of this inning without giving up a run. So big strikeout there after the balk for Christiana. Gets the second out of the inning. Eagles still only trailing 1-0, with Fideli, who led off the game with that single, coming to the dish. Outside for a ball, 1-0. Eagles will have the middle of their lineup coming up in the next half inning, as they had the bases loaded in that top of the frame. Couldn't get anything across against Colin Blake, as that one's taken for a ball just off the plate, 2-0. That one's taken for a strike from Christiana, and count moves to 2-1. Christiana looking to escape a jam here in the second, as that one's going to be hit into center field. Coming on to try and grab it is Rodriguez. He will not be able to. 2 runs going to come home. It's going to be a 2 RBI single for Fideli. And just like that, doubling their lead are the Owls, who go up by 3 on the 2 RBI single by Fideli. Brennan Stobley, who had a RBI double in the first inning, now comes to bat here with 2 outs and a runner on first. So the top of the lineup so far, 3 for 3 against Christiana, the top 2 hitters, I should say. Middle of the lineup struggled against him, and then the bottom of the order has a pair of hits against him as well. Pitch is in there for a strike. And quickly 0-1 for Christiana. That one's fouled off to the right side, out of play. And Christiana just 1 strike away from getting out of this inning now. Of course, Fideli with the big 2 RBI single to make it a 3-0 game with 2 outs. And because of the balk, the runners were both in scoring position. Probably only 1 run scores on that if not for the balk by Christiana. That one's going to be popped up. Might be some room to grab it. Nope, that's going to elude both Perez and Cardona, and get out of play. So the count remains 0-2 to Stobley. Christiana looks to escape without any further harm here in the top of the second and give the Eagles a chance to get some back in the bottom half of the inning, as Colin Blake looked very vulnerable for somebody with lowest ERA on the team, as that ball just goes right to the backstop, and taking second is Fideli. That's going to go down as a wild pitch. It looked like it skipped in the dirt. Couldn't blame Perez for that one. Now a runner on second with 2 outs and a 1-2 count coming to Stobley. Christiana so far 26 strikes and 38 pitches before this at bat, so make that 29 strikes now out of 42 pitches he's thrown. Outside, 2-2. So now another runner in scoring position. Before, Stobley, if he had hit one to the wall, the runner, Fideli, would have probably scored. But now, with the current situation that they have, a single up the middle or anywhere to the outfield will probably score Fideli with his speed from second. And that's going to be lifted into left by Stobley, and it's going to go all the way to the wall. Getting over there to grab it is Roberge. He fires in, but it's going to be a stand-up double for Stobley, his second of the game. And the Eagles now trailing 4-0 on that, the second double of the day by Stobley. I apologize for the delay on the camera. We're a little short on people over here. So I'm doing play-by-play and also stats and camera switching all at the same time. So I'm kind of watching the play to see what happens for the game on top of making sure we hit that. But going out to the mound is Brian Looney to talk with Joe Christiana. Looney just coming to the team this year as the pitching coach a couple months ago. Former Major League Baseball player in the major leagues and also playing many years in the minor leagues and even in the Italian Baseball League overseas for a couple of seasons. So Christiana and Looney done with their chat. And in will step Jake Grudadoria stepping in. He's 0 for 1 on the day. So the top 2 hitters so far now for Southern Connecticut account for 4 of the 6 hits. Fideli and Stobley, and they also pretty much, I believe, account for all the RBIs as well. Yeah, they account for all 4 RBIs. Stobley with 2 doubles. Fideli with 2 singles. Pitch is in there for a strike. 0-1. Runner on second, so another runner in scoring position for the visitors here in the top of the second. As Christiana looks to limit the damage from being any more here. That one's going to be lined right back up the middle, and more damage will be done as Grudadoria is going to have an RBI single up the middle, and that's going to make it a 5-0 ball game. With Drury coming to the dish, the cleanup hitter. So the Owls early on really taking it to post. Again, it's very early. They do have 7 hits, though, through the first 1 2/3 innings now off of Christiana. And 5 runs in so far. looking to do more here now with the cleanup hitter in Drury. Swung on and missed. 0-1 the count. Give you a little scoring update, too, from the women's lacrosse game. It's currently 5-2 Holy Family in the second quarter. Eagles playing only their second game of the season, their home opener today. They played way back earlier in the month of March against Chestnut Hill on the road, fell 6-1, and had 18 days off for the spring break and whatnot to prepare for their second game of the year against Holy Family. That one's going to be fouled behind the screen. Count moves to 1-2. It'll be Cardona, Kelly, and Perez coming up in the bottom of the inning once Christiana gets out of this. As Drury rates the 1-2, fouled off to the right side. And they'll do it again. Christiana comes set, fires. That one's right over the plate for strike 3. And Christiana escapes the inning, but not before. The Owls get 4 runs on 5 hits, no errors, 1 left on base. Cardona, Kelly, Perez coming to bat as the Eagles look to get some back in the bottom of the second. Michael Cardona coming to the plate. Eagles need some runs. Colin Blake back on the mound after a rough first inning. I shouldn't say rough. He got out of the inning, but he did load the bases up for the Eagles before finally being able to get out of it, as Michael Cardona now will come to the plate. Or Michael Cardona, excuse me, and try and get something started for the Eagles here. As that first pitch is outside for a ball. 1-0. Quick score check of the women's lacrosse game. It's now 6-2 Holy Family in the second with 11:05 remaining. That one's hit on the ground through the hole, and Cardona is going to lead it off with a single to right. And just like that, the Eagles have one on to start the second inning. And Jalen Kelly, the 8-hitter, will come to the dish. Kelly waits the first pitch from Blake. It's in there for a strike. 0-1 the count. Southern Connecticut comes in this game 2-1 in the NE10 so far this year. Eagles have won their last 5 matchups against the Owls, dating back to, I believe it's 2023. when they played down in Florida and South Carolina. That one's hit on the ground to third. Looking for the double play ball. They won't get it as Kelly's retired at second with the 5-4 fielder's choice. Or excuse me, Cardona is out at second on the 5-4 fielder's choice. So Kelly on first with one out. As Jello got the out at third, or excuse me, threw over to Fideli at second. He's outside for a ball, 1-0. Perez, like I mentioned, who, if you look at the players on this team who have played the most games and have been the most consistently playing on the team so far this year, he does have the lowest average, but his offensive output nonetheless has still been quite impressive in those 16 games so far with 1 home run and 12 RBIs. He's also got 5 doubles, so that's 6 extra base hits out of 11. So when you have runners in scoring position, he's the guy you kind of want up at the dish because he's delivering with the extra base hits, which can plate some of those runners, especially like, for example, last inning with the bases loaded. That's an opportunity for him to get a few more RBIs. So he's doing damage at the bottom of the lineup, regardless of what the average says. Blake with the 2-1 count coming. Fouled off behind the netting and will move to a 2-2 count with Kelly on first, 1 out. Two-two from Blake, and that's just going to go off the back of Perez, and he wears it. So going down to first with the hit batter is Perez. Now the top of the lineup, and Alfala comes to the dish. Alfala, like we mentioned, 18 games played for the Eagles, on base in all 18 games safely. So he's got an 18-game on-base streak going. Whether it's a hit batter, a hit pitch, or a walk, or a reaching base safely, it cannot be a wild pitch strikeout. It can't be a fielder's choice. You have to reach base safely in order to continue that streak. So he's looking to do that here with a chance in the second inning already, his second at-bat. Both teams already threw their second ups in the second inning. And, of course, it is early in the game, but we should note, in case it gets to that point, whether it's Southern Connecticut, who leads by 5 right now, or Post, who were to come back and score, if one team or the other is leading by 10 or more runs after 7 innings of a 9-inning game, the game will end because of the mercy rule. So a 10-run mercy rule after 7 innings is the rule for baseball. Game 2, if that were to happen, where a team goes up by 10 runs, because it is only a scheduled 7-inning game, they will only play 7 innings. In some cases with non-conference games, you will see them play only like 5 innings if it gets really out of control. But you're talking like a 15 to 20 run game at that point, where sometimes teams will decide to call it quits after that. That one's chopped over to Gigello at third. And around the horn, 6-4-3 double play. So Blake escapes the first and second with 1 out jam, as it's a 6-4-3 double play by Alfala. We head to the top of the third. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on base. It's Dylan Albert and Walker coming to the dish for the Owls, who lead 5-0 here on the CACC Network and YouTube. We'll roll on here in the top of the third. It seems we've lost the outfield camera. Nope, there it goes. I had to reopen the window. I was trying to stay warm up here, but we're not going to be able to do that as we roll here to the top of the third. Joe Christiana back on the mound and delivers a ball low to Dylan, who is 0-1 with a strikeout in his first at-bat. Christiana out there for a third inning. I don't see anybody warming the bullpen. And it's important to note, too, that the Eagles do have a pair of conference games, like I mentioned, on Tuesday. Brennan Holligan did pitch yesterday in Game 1. That one swung on a miss by Dylan. Count moves quickly to 1-2. Holligan got the starting Game 1. Justin Portes, who had a career day with 10 strikeouts, pitched Game 2. So I don't know, again, because baseball is a lot different from softball where you'll see players go and pitch, for example, like post softball just had 3 straight days of games. And you saw the same girls out there for every single game. Baseball's a little different, where you're going to need a few rest days in between. So I'm not sure if Holligan will go on Tuesday, as that one is popped into shallow center, but the shift was on, and Vega was there, and he is able to get that line out from Dylan. So Augie Albert will come to the plate now with 1 out. Albert 0 for 1 on the day. Next hitters to worry about if you're Christiana, just based on the times going through the order, are Walker and Drokas, who are both 1 for 1 so far. And Albert's going to chop that one on the ground. It's going to be a tough one for Rivera. He comes in to grab it, and he's just going to eat it. That's going to be an infield single, as Albert had the speed, and he's able to get in safely for Walker now to come to the dish with 1 out and 1 on, and Walker had a hit in the first at-bat, a single. He ended up coming around and scoring on the Fideli 2-run single. So the 7th hitter coming to the dish. Al is already leading 5-0, looking for more against Christiana. So it's unlikely, Christiana at 57 pitches too, it's unlikely you will see Christiana pitch on Tuesday, because it is Sunday. You may see Holligan in maybe one of the 2 games, but again, highly unlikely, depending on who the Game 2 starter is today, which could be Jake Bowman. That one's fouled off. Count 0-2. There's a few different arms that head coach Ray Skold could go to in Game 2, depending on their status, as, again, some of the pitchers earlier on in the season were dealing with some minor injuries, and they're slowly working their way back from them. For example, Matt Seaman, who pitched a couple of innings last week. That one's outside for a ball. Count moves to 1-2. 1 out, runner on first. Walker at the dish, the 7th hitter. Albert on that infield single on first. Southern Connecticut already with 5 runs in 2 innings. A 4-run second inning has got them to this point now. That one's going to be fouled back to the screen. Count remains 1-2. Off on the pitch was Albert. He'll head back to first. Quick score check over at women's lacrosse as well. It's now 8-2 Holy Family, with 6:24 remaining in the second. Christiana checks on the runner at first, and Albert not going anywhere. We'll do it again. 8 hits so far for Southern Connecticut in the 2 1/3 innings so far that Christiana has dealt. Fouled off again, and we'll do pitch number 6 of the at-bat. 4 foul balls so far in this 5-pitch at-bat and the 1-2 count. Eagles looking to keep it where it's at right now. You don't want to get this one. You don't want this one to get too out of hand early on. That one's going to be hit into right field, line drive, and that's going to get down. Walker going to get his second hit of the day. He's into second safely. He's into first safely. Albert into second safely. And the Owls back in business again now here in the top of the third. And It's Zach Drokas who is 1-for-1 with the hit as well. So all the hitters that so far have gone through the order, except for Albert, who did not have a hit in his first at bat, and it was an infield hit. With 2 hits so far. Still plenty of time in this game for the Eagles to come back, but in order to do so, you have to be able to limit the damage, and Christiana's got to try and do that here now. 2 on and 1 out. Double play would be huge to get out of it. That one's hitting the center field. It looks like they're going to get at least 1 out of this as Rodriguez comes ranging over, makes the grab, coming over to third. Going over to third is Albert. And now it would be runners on the corners with 2 outs for the Owls. And Gigello coming to bat, who is 0-for-1 on the day. And again, like we mentioned, this is going to be a big at-bat for Christiana to face him in, because the top of the lineup so far is a combined 4-for-4, and if you look at it overall, they're 5-for-6, the top 3 hitters, with 5 RBIs so far. And the last thing you want is to give him a free base, have the bases loaded for the top of the lineup, or potentially allow Gigello to get on and, score a run and then bring up that top of the lineup that's been so deadly so far, as that might be able to get him out of the inning, but looks like Cardona was able to find it, and then it's off into the seats, hits off of the railing, and be a foul ball 0-1. With the new pitch clock rule, we're seeing them kind of wait to figure out when they have to activate it. As they were there, as that one's fouled behind the screen, 0-2. So Christiana, a big pitch here. He has one to waste, obviously, with it being 0-2. He's in the driver's seat. If he can get out of this with a strikeout or a ground out or any sort of form of out, really, this would be huge for Post to limit it at nothing coming across and keeping it a 5-run game. There's still plenty of time in this one. Christiana fires. Runner off on the pitch. It's going to be popped into foul territory. Cardona tries to get over, but it's going to be over on top of the dugout. And we'll do it again. 0-2 the count with 2 outs here in the top of the third. Devin Cornwell out there delivering a couple balls to home plate umpire. We don't have the names of the umpires currently. We're working to get those right now. Cornwell expected not to play this year after shoulder injury last summer. And they're going to try and throw down. And instead, it's going to be a rundown. That's going to be a 2-6 put out. Call it caught stealing. Like I mentioned, I'm doing the official scoring as well, so I have to remember in my head what exactly it was. So Walker's out trying to steal second, 2-6. Got caught in a little bit of a rundown and then just kind of gave himself up. And so what better way for Cristiano to escape the inning than that? No runs, 2 hits, no errors, no one left on base. Vega, Rodriguez, Rivera coming to the plate. Eagles looking for some runs here in the bottom of the third. Renee Vega to the dish, and I've got umpires as well. Justin Perry behind the plate, J.C. Fernandez at first, and Frank Urelli at third. Couple of familiar names in my case, as I've done some official scoring all over Connecticut, so those names do ring a bell. At least Fernandez and Urelli do from some of the days working at the games in New Britain. Blake back out there for a third inning, as that one's in there for a strike, 0-1. And kind of going off of that, New Britain, Colin Blake, a few years with the Futures Collegiate Baseball League with the New Britain Bees. Had a dominant couple of years playing for them, and now he's, I feel like when I saw him pitch, it was several years ago during the COVID era of the FCBL, and now we're going into 2025 and still seeing him, but I could be wrong. I would have to do a check on that. Blake did play at UHart as well, now doing a grad year at Southern Connecticut. It was 2021 when he pitched in the FCBL, and then he also pitched in 2024 for 6 games for New Britain. So he's been around here for quite some time, going into his now technically 4th year of college baseball. That one's fouled off by Vega, and that will get down. Count remains 1-2. Eagles in the midst of a 6-game homestand. They will take on Wilmington University on Tuesday and Felicia next Saturday as part of a 4-game weekend for them. Just like this weekend, they'll do it again. But that will be conference play, so stakes are a little bit higher. Not that the stakes aren't high in terms of wanting to win games, obviously. You want to win every game that you can, especially in the region, because if you don't win your conference tournament, there's a chance then you could get in as an at-large. Now, the thing that's kind of working, I guess you could say kind of working against getting an at-large for some teams is the conference slate and how often they have to play them, as we'll get on that in a minute. As Vega lifts that one into left center. It's going to get down for a hit. Vega stops at first with a single, and he's on base to start the 3rd inning. Demarius Rodriguez coming to the plate with the chance to make some noise here. He walked in the 1st inning as part of the Eagles loading the bases. But like I said, getting an at-large can be a little difficult depending on how many conference games you have to play. And for the Eagles, they have to play 36 conference games. Luckily, there's a lot of competition that not only made the NCAA tournament last year, so that one's in there for a strike, but has a chance to this year. So you're seeing a lot of good teams that will help boost your resume. But it does give you, like, for example, last year the Eagles went down and played number 2 in the nation, North Greenville. It kind of gives you less wiggle room to schedule more games depending on how your spring break lines up and other things along the way, which can also lessen your strength of schedule, which can make it harder to get an at-large and make it so that you do need to win your conference at the end of the year. Nonetheless, the Eagles do have a good mix of pretty much all regional games, I believe. All their games are against East Region teams this year in non-conference play, like today's. But they are playing still a tough schedule with some of these NE10 teams, some of these ECC teams that are routinely at the top of their conference, such as Queens, such as Franklin Pierce. Southern Connecticut was in the mix last year and made the tournament, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong there, so don't quote me on it. Might be thinking of New Haven instead because they played them down there, as that one is going to be chopped on the ground towards third. It goes foul, and we'll do it again. Eagles made their first NCAA tournament last year after winning their first CACC championship under head coach Ray Skold. Skold picked up his 100th win earlier this year and the first win of the year for the Eagles against Bentley University. He's got 141 in his career between here and Lake Erie. Coming into the day, as that one's going to be hit foul, and we'll do it again with pitch number 5 of the at-bat. My apologies. Southern Connecticut did not make the NCAA tournament last year, but they were, again, a very difficult team to play last year, and they are a difficult team this year to play as well. It was Malloy, New Haven, Post, Goldie, Beacom, Southern New Hampshire, Jefferson, and Franklin Pierce who made the tournament. Southern New Hampshire ended up winning the region. That one's going to be hit in the air and into left field. Going over to grab it is Albert. He does, and that's the first out of the inning. Cleanup hitter Justin Rivera coming to the plate. 1 out. Eagles have had a runner on base in every inning so far. 4 left stranded. Velasco stranded 3 with his strikeout in the first inning. Alfala stranded 1 last inning with his double play with runners on first and second. So far for the Owls, they have stranded just 2 runners while getting 5 across. So Rivera will look to see what he can do here with 1 out here in the bottom of the third as he hits that one on the ground, and it's going to be a base hit into right field. Vega into second. He'll stay there. Rivera on first, and now Hayden Roberge comes to the dish with 2 on and 1 out. Similar situation to what we saw last inning with Jesse Alfala at the dish, but can Roberge cash in here? In addition to that, can Roberge bring himself a little closer to 100 career hits? He's 3 away, like we mentioned, with a bunch of them coming at Norwich, but nonetheless, it's still a milestone in an athlete's career. Same for Brennan Holligan, who we won't see obviously pitch today. He is 2 strikeouts away from 200 in his career, but he also pitched at the College of Southern Nevada as well. Low for a ball, 1-0. At halftime, women's lacrosse trailing 12-2 against Holy Family. The only other game going on here on this Sunday. As Roberge chops from that in the hole, and that's going to get through. Dillon not able to get it. And coming home to score is going to be Vega. And the Eagles get one back, and now the ball's going to skip away on the throw to Stobley. And everybody's going to advance a base. So score that one a RBI single for Roberge. And then you're going to have an E2 on that. It's going to advance the runners to second and third. It is an earned run for Colin Blake. Second and third now, though, and this is big now for the Eagles, who have a chance with Isaiah Velasco, who, again, we mentioned, struck out on his last at-bat with the bases loaded. It's 6-1. I apologize. It is not 6-1. I'm not really sure why it says 6-1 on the board unless I missed something at the top of the inning, but I'm pretty sure I did it. So on the rundown in the top of the third inning, the runner came across home plate and scored during it. So that's where the 6th run came from. So it is 6-1 now. Second and third for Velasco at the dish, with the chance to add a few more. 4 hits so far for the Eagles, 9 for Southern Connecticut. That one's in their first strike, 1-2. That one's going to get away from Stobley, and Rivera's going to score. So a wild pitch there from Blake, and just like that, it is a 6-2 ball game. Southern Connecticut, 1 out, runner on third. As of right now, that goes down as an unearned run, but that'll change here as that one's hit into right field. It's in the gap. Velasco's going to have himself a double, it looks like, at second. He gets in there safely. Run scores, and just like that, the lead for Southern Connecticut cut in half. They lead 6-3. All runs now earned as the Eagles are taking it to Colin Blake. It took 3 innings to finally do it, too, because if you remember, the last couple of innings, they did have chances and were just unable to get runners across. So now you've got a runner on second, a 6-3 ball game, and only 1 out for Michael Cardona. Eagles have cut their deficit in half now. And looking for more here against Blake in the third. Fouled off. Count moves to 1-1. This will be pitch number 62 for Blake. So both pitchers, part of it could be the weather, honestly. Again, like I mentioned, it's very, very chilly. It's 42 degrees and cloudy. I didn't think it was supposed to be this cold today. I thought it was supposed to be a little warmer. But then again, yesterday, it was supposed to be 70 degrees for our softball doubleheader. And by the time first pitch rolled around, the temperature dropped about 20 degrees. And it was in the low 50s, mid 40s by the time we got to game 2. And it was raining for a good portion of it as well in game number 2, which had to be delayed for a little while as well because of that weather. Yesterday, baseball, like we mentioned, won 6-1 and 8-5 over the Owls. Also playing yesterday was men's lacrosse, falling 14-10 to Georgian Court, their first conference loss of the season. That one's going to be hit in the air to right field, and it's going to get down. Cardona's going to have himself a single. I think they're going to hold the runner at third. They do. Velasco holds, and the Eagles have runners on the corners now for Jalen Kelly, who has a chance to drive in some runs here with only 1 out in the bottom of the third. Going to get a mound visit real quick. We'll continue talking about what happened yesterday. So like we mentioned, baseball with the 2 wins. Men's lacrosse falling 14-10 in their lone game of the day. In their conference matchup. I'm so used to seeing doubleheaders this past week between softball and now baseball. Men's lacrosse doesn't play doubleheaders. And then softball had a doubleheader against Wilmington. They were swept in that one 7-0 and 16-2. That game was only 5 innings, the second game. Softball now 1-21 on the season. Baseball sitting at 13-8. Women's lacrosse at 0-1. Men's lacrosse at 5-4. Women's tennis will have a few spring matchups coming up. Their first one against the University of the District of Columbia next Saturday, which also coincides with baseball being at home to take on Felician to round out their 6-game homestand. Next week as well, University of New Haven comes to town to play softball on Thursday, and Dominican comes to play men's lacrosse on Wednesday at 2 o'clock at Lemoy Field. So busy week around the Eagles. Coming up for all the spring sports. Kelly takes that pitch and fouls it off to the right side, 0-1. Eagles struck for 3 so far and looking for more. That one was floated in there for a strike. Count moves to 0-2. Looked like a good pitch from up here. Not sure what Kelly saw from down there. It probably was looking like it was going to come in high and then sunk low over the plate at the last minute if I had to guess. 0-2 coming from Blake. That one's hitting to right field. Is that one going to get down? It will. Kelly's going to have himself an RBI single. And the Eagles continue to tack on more and more. Their deficit's now just 6-4. As Jalen Kelly has himself an RBI single, scoring Velasco from third. 6-4, Owls lead. With still only 1 out. Somebody's starting to get loose in the bullpen for Southern Connecticut. We cannot tell who because they are wearing a jacket. which is very smart because it is very cold. Do not see anybody up in the post bullpen from this angle. There's a little more of the bullpen off to the left side, but typically they're in the right side of the bullpen to warm up. And Blake is going to pluck him. Perez is going to be hit by the pitch, and now the bases are loaded with one out. And again, already 4 runs in, and if you're the Owls, you're hoping that you can get whoever's warming up warmed up pretty quick, I think, because Blake has lost a little bit of his control. Not that he was cruising through the first 2 innings either. The Eagles just were not making the most of their opportunities when they had runners on base. And we saw that even when Southern Connecticut had the lead yesterday and tied it up, that it was the pitching that fell apart down the stretch for them, especially in the 6th and 7th inning. It's falling apart here in the 3rd inning, though, as Blake fires that one in. And Alfala, who's looking to extend, this is Alfala's 3rd at-bat in as many innings. And he's looking to extend his on-base streak to 18 straight games. If he wants to do it, though, he's got to find a way on the next few innings. That one's in their first strike. Count moves to 0-2. So Blake doing a really good job of getting back into this count now with this batter in Alfala to try and wiggle his way out of this jam, which has already elicited 4 runs for Post, who trails just by 2 now. Came into the inning trailing by 6. One's outside, had a pitch to waste. 1-2 the count. About an hour, 15 minutes into this game. We're only in the bottom of the 3rd. Game 2 will only be 7 innings as well, so keep that in mind. And that one's on the outside corner for strike 3, so a big second out by Blake gets Alfala looking. And Rene Vega, who's been very good with runners on so far this year, will stroll to the dish. Vega had 3 RBIs in game number 1 yesterday. Big RBI chance here. Bases loaded. 2 outs. The heart of your order coming to the dish. Looking to see if they could... No, a hit will probably pull them even. Depending on where it's hit, because you do have Kelly on second. Pitch is high for a ball, 1-0. Blake sets, delivers. Swung on a miss. That was a high pitch there from Blake, but he got it on the inside of Vega, and Vega took a hack at it. 1-1 the count, 2 outs. Vega at the dish with the bases loaded, 4 across already for Post. And that hits Vega right on the elbow or the hand. I think it got him on the hand, actually. Nope, they're going to say that hit his bat. And head coach Ray Skold having a conversation with the home plate umpire. That's Justin Perry is the home plate umpire. Vega not happy. I wouldn't be either. I mean, especially with how cold it is. I have to imagine how badly that one stung. I think they're going to have a conversation with the umpires, Frank Urelli and J.C. Fernandez now, and to see if they're going to award him first. I mean, and if they award him first, that's another run for Post. You could hear, I can't tell who, because there were a lot of people yelling from down below, telling Rene Vega not to jaw with the umpire at all, because the last thing you want is to get ejected from the game, because I do believe that comes with an automatic couple game suspension as a player if you're ejected from a game. Not 100% sure, but Vega was showing him the hand, Justin Perry the hand, saying he got hit on it. And they're claiming, I think, that it hit off of the bat first, but... And now they're going to say that it did hit him. So after all that, Vega with a very animated bat flip, and he's yelling I don't know what, but he's yelling something. Hit batter, give him an RBI. And now bring Rodriguez to the dish with the bases done. Now, at the same time, because you had this long of a delay, yeah, you just gave up a run if you're Southern Connecticut because they hit batter, but at the same time, you just gave whoever's warming up in the bullpen about 2 or 3 more minutes to warm up. And so now if Colin Blake's not able to escape Rodriguez at bat right now, you may see a pitching change coming for Southern Connecticut. So kind of works both ways. If you're post, you're happy you got the run. If you're Southern Connecticut, you're not happy you gave the run, but you did get your pitcher a little more time to warm, and now they're not even warming anymore, which tells me this has to be Blake's last batter if he doesn't get out of it. In the dirt, or off to the left side of the plate, 1-0. 6-5, 5 across already for post this inning, and they're looking for more against Colin Blake. Just on the outside corner, count moves to 1-1. Eagles coming into this one on an 8-game winning streak, but they trailed 6-0 early. Making their way back into it, and that one just hit the top corner of the zone, I guess, and I thought that was a little outside from my vantage point. 1-2, so Blake 1 pitch away from escaping this half inning without any damage, without giving up the lead for Southern Connecticut. Damage has been done to get Post back into this game. High and upstairs. Counts now 2-2. A walk ties the game. A single may score 2 runs. And Vega could probably get to third on a single as well. That one's over the plate. Oh, he left him right there for him. And Rodriguez just a tad behind what looked like a fastball from up here that if Rodriguez has gotten a hold of was probably going out of here, or at least going to be down for a hit and a couple more runs for Post that would probably have given them the lead. Blake, though, another chance. Rodriguez staying alive. 2-2 coming. And that one's fouled back towards us. Count stays at 2-2. Rodriguez awaits. Blake set. Fires. Off the plate, and it's 3-2, 2 outs, bases loaded. 6-5 game, Rodriguez at the dish. Rivera, the cleanup hitter on deck, which is important to note. He's 1 for 2 on the day. Post already in their third go-round in the third inning, as will be Southern Connecticut in the fourth. 3-2 coming from Blake. High for ball 4, and the game is tied. So Damari Rodriguez walks, and now the cleanup hitter and Justin Rivera comes to the plate. And we got a brand new ball game. We're tied at 6, and just like I thought, that little bit of a delay did help get the pitcher a little bit warmer in the bullpen, whoever it is, because we can't tell from out here. And Tim Shea out to take the ball from Colin Blake, whose day is done. He'll inherit the 3 runners on base. We'll get you the pitching change as we head. Yeah, we actually have it right now. It's number 34, Jalen Cruz, 4.91 ERA, 4 appearances, 7 1/3 innings. He's got a save. He's given up 4 runs on the year on 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, 3 walks. So Cruz will come in and try and see what he can do to get out of this inning. Eagles have tied the game up at 6-all. We'll be right back with Justin Rivera coming to the plate with the bases loaded. 2 outs here in the bottom of the third. Jalen Cruz coming in to pitch for the Owls. Justin Rivera to the dish. Here's the situation. The bases are loaded. There's 2 outs. The Eagles have come all the way back to tie this game up at 6 after allowing the first 6 runs of the game. They've got 7 hits in total so far, and they're looking to do some more. Colin Blake, his line's not closed. If Cruz can get out of this inning, it will be closed, and we'll give it to you. For the time being, it's another ball as Cruz is now inheriting all 3 runners on base, which are charged to Blake, which is why we said the line's not closed on Colin Blake yet. What we do know is all the runs will be earned, as the only error so far was on a ball that allowed the runners to advance just 1 base. And because they only advanced 1 base, it comes into play how the rest of the inning pans out. And those runners would have scored regardless of that extra base, given how the rest of this inning has shook out for Post. 2-0 count, though. Cruz quickly behind. And Rivera takes that pitch in there for a strike. Now 2-1 the count. Cruz awaits. Fires, and that one's on the ground. It's a base hit down the left field line. 2 runs going to come in. Rivera on his way to second, and it's going to be a 2-run double for Justin Rivera. The Eagles have come all the way back from down by 6, and they now have taken a 8-6 lead with Hayden Roberge coming to the dish, looking for more for Post as Cruz on the 2-1 pitch leaves it there for Rivera, and it got just inside the third base bag where Gigello was. Now Roberge, 2 hits away from 100 in his career, has a chance to make this hit number 99, which would get a couple more across for Post. You've got speed on the bases now. Excuse me, runner on third, or runners on the corners. Pitch is high for a ball, 1-0. That one's hitting the air to left field. Going over to grab it is Albert. He will. But the damage has been done. 8 runs across the plate for your Eagles. It comes to the tune of 7 hits out of their 8 in the game. 1 error, 2 left on base. Gigello, Fideli, and Stobley coming to bat here in the top of the 4th. At the Owls now will look to answer back after a big 8-run inning by the Eagles. All right, welcome back inside the broadcast booth. Between half innings, Eric Perez, I was looking down at my laptop. I don't know if he got hit by a pitch from Cristiano while he was warming up or if something just happened. It looks like he's in a little bit of pain in his shoulder. And he's being looked at by the athletic trainer, now head coach Ray Skold, out there as well to check on Perez. It looks like he's going to be okay and stay in. But while we're waiting for Gigello to step in, Colin Blake, his day finishes up with 2 2/3 innings, 8 runs allowed on 7 hits, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts. He had 4 hit batters and 2 wild pitches. And, I mean, not to say Joe Cristiano's line hasn't been that much better either. He's given up 9 hits, 6 runs, no walks though, 3 strikeouts and only 1 wild pitch. But again, this is just a very cold and raw day outside right now that I'm sure even just gripping the ball has to be difficult for both of these pitchers. And then you had a little bit of miss earlier in the game. It looks like that has subsided for the time being. But it's just a very cold and gross day out there as that one by Gigello is popped into right field. The 3 Eagles going over to get it, and no one's going to grab it. That's just going to be a single. Rene Vega went about 90 feet to try and dive for that one, even though Cardona and the right fielder in Velasco were all also in that general area. You're just going to have to be able to call that one a hit because, unfortunately, that just kind of fell in the no man's land. So it's going to be a runner on first with nobody out. And Fideli, the top of the lineup, coming to the plate. Do see someone starting to get loose in the Eagles bullpen. And again, with the top of this lineup coming up too, very dangerous part of the order for Cristiano to face. He's not been able to retire the top 2 hitters yet in Fideli or Stobley, who account for 4 of the 5 RBIs that the Owls have. The Owls also have 6 runs on the day, courtesy of the steal in the last half inning. That one is back up the middle. A nice stop by Vega. 4-6-3. They're not going to be able to get the out at first, but a nice diving stop at second base by Vega retires the runner in Gigello at second. So they get at least 1 out of it, which is big. And now you bring up Stobley, who is technically, obviously, just like Fideli was, the tying run, but you retire you get an out of a Fideli at bat, which is big. First time that the Eagles have been able to do that so far today, or should I say Cristiano's been able to do that today. Now they have to see if they can do it against Stobley. Check over on first, and back in there safely is Fideli. That one's outside for a ball and counts 0-1. Fidelli not moving anywhere. Quick score check, too, of women's lacrosse. It's kind of turned into a rout over there. It's now 17-3 Holy Family. They only got 15 minutes to go. And that will be on a running clock now because it's a 10-goal lead. So the Eagles, in that respect, looking likely to fall to 0-2 and 0-2 in conference play. They're only playing one out-of-conference game against St. Thomas Aquinas College later on in April. They'll play Caldwell, like we mentioned, on Tuesday. Cristiano with a 1-1. That one's hit on the ground to short. Alfala, and that's going to be a very weird play. Wow. I mean, there's not much more you can say about that. An absolutely amazing play by Vega from Alfala, but Alfala is very fired up, and at the same time Alfala just kind of looks beside himself about it. So that goes down as a fielder's choice as well. First pitch in there for a strike. Just trying to figure out how to put that one into the computer for a moment. So that goes down as a 6-4-3, and that one's going to be on the ground to second. Vega again with the stop, and that'll do it. What an inning for Renee Vega. You know, you had the outfield hit that he tried to dive for and wasn't able to grab, and then he proceeds to make back-to-back crazy plays over at second base. You can see him on camera right there, fired up, heading back into the dugout as the Eagles get out of that inning only allowing one hit. No runs, one hit, no errors, one left on base. Velasco, Cardona, and Kelly coming up in the bottom of the fourth inning. Eagles leading 8-6. Isaiah Velasco to the dish. Every Eagle so far except for two have hits, and Cardona and Rivera have multi-hit games. Alfala is still trying to get on base for what would be his 19th straight game, and at this point it feels like he's got infinite time to do it at the rate we're going and how many at-bats everybody's had for both teams. We might see him get up at least 3 more times at this current rate. Because neither side, I mean, until Cristiano, that last half inning, really has shown any semblance of control with their pitching. One-0 from Cruz in the dirt, and Cruz has really not had any control so far. I mean, he's only thrown 3 strikes now on 8 pitches. And it's important to note when you look at that line, if the ball is hit into play, that counts as a strike on the official scoring. That one's hit on the ground sharply. That's going to be a base hit for Velasco down the right field line. He's going to hold up at first. Over there, Drury was trying to stab it on the ground, but it just took a high hop on him. You can't fault him for that. It's going to be a single. And now coming to the dish is Michael Cardona. 2 for 2 already with a run scored. Six different Eagles with runs batted in. 10 hits for Southern Connecticut. 9 so far for Post. That one's hit in the air by Cardona into right field. Going over to grab it is Grudadaria. And that's one out for Jalen Kelly. Kelly stepping in. Takes that pitch outside for a ball, 1-0. Kelly 1 for 2 on the day with an RBI and a run scored. Eagles have stranded 6 runners on base through 3 innings. Pitches down low for a ball, 2-0. Now, if Joe Christian is able to go out there for another inning, which after that decent fourth inning he should be able to do, he will have a chance then to be the winning pitcher in the game, because you do need to go at least 5 in a 9-inning game. 4 is the rule for a 7-inning. Christiana would, if he pitches the 5th inning and the Eagles win, would pick up win 21, which would in his career, which would put him 1 away from tying the program record. That one's outside for a ball. Kelly's going to walk, so first and second with one out here in the 4th for Eric Perez, who, if I'm reading this correctly, has been hit twice. Yeah, he is 0 for 0 with a run scored, and he's not showing up any base on balls in the box score, which tells me Perez has been hit twice. Yep, he has. So Eric Perez, the dish for hopefully his first at-bat of the game, unless he gets hit again, which we don't want. But that ball is upstairs for a ball, 1-0 the count. 2 on, 1 out. Eagles looking for some more runs. Pitching for Southern Connecticut has struggled these last 2 days against the Eagles. And we saw that last half inning with the 8-run 3rd inning. In there for a strike, 1-1. Every inning, the Eagles have had at least first and second with less than 2 outs. In the second, Alfala came up with 1 out and 2 on, and then they also had the bases loaded in the 1st inning. That one's hit in the air to right field. It has some distance on it. Going back to try and grab it is Guadadaria, and he's not going to be able to do it. Perez is going to stroll in the second with a double. 2 runs are going to score. 1 run's going to score. That was Alfala behind the plate. And the Eagles have taken a 9-6 lead as Isaiah Velasco scored. Jalen Kelly held up at 3rd. Eric Perez, I talked about it before the game, at the bottom of the lineup, may have the lowest average on the team, but with runners in scoring position, he is producing, and he does it right there. 9-6 Post, and Jesse Alfala coming up for his 4th at-bat in 4 innings, which is insane to even be saying. Nobody warming either for Southern Connecticut, and you got to figure with it being a 4-game weekend that you're not going to probably see too many different arms, because all these teams got to get ready for conference play, which again, like I mentioned, these games matter a lot, but those conference games matter just a little bit more because it affects where you can end up with seeding in the conference tournament and everything. But you want to win these non-conference games as well to get yourself a better chance at an at-large in the event that you don't win your conference as well. And the Eagles doing a good job of padding their resume with, if they hold on, their 3rd non-conference win in a row against Southern Connecticut, who coming into the week was regionally ranked in the East. Eagles have not been regionally ranked since the beginning of the season because they had that 0-7 start. But now if they're able to pull off a doubleheader sweep here and go through another perfect week, which would put them at 6-0 for the week, I have to figure they would be in the conversation to be at least receiving votes or getting in as like the 9 or 10 in the region in the regional poll that will come out on Monday. Especially with the win streak they'd be on. If they were to sweep today, it would be a 10-game win streak, tying their longest in program history. 1-2 to Alfala. It's inside for a ball, 2-2. Again, Alfala looking to extend that on-base streak to 19 consecutive games. He's 0 for 3 so far today with the strikeout. Chance to get on and maybe get some runs. Alfala waits the pitch. Chopped on the ground to third. Looking off Kelly at third was Gigello before firing over to first, and Alfala is retired for the fourth time today. So 2 outs, 9-6 game. And Rene Vega to the dish. He got hit by a pitch in his last at-bat, which turned into a controversy because they weren't 100% sure if he got hit. And he was eventually awarded the base. That one's hit in the air into foul territory, going over to try and grab it as Gigello, but it's out of play. 0-1 will be the count now. Women's lacrosse in the waning moments of their game, 6:35 and counting remaining. They trail 18-4. Paige Piper with 2 goals. Jessica Krumnikoff with 1 and Macy Peterson with 1. Rihanna Shields leading the way for Holy Family with 7. And that goes behind Vega. You got Kelly on third. He's not going to be a threat to run home on it. Doesn't have the most speed on this team, so he's probably not going to advance. I thought Vega got hit in the back for a second with that pitch. 1-1 count, 2 outs. Second and third. Eagles looking to add to their lead, which stands currently at 9-6 after trailing 6-0. They've scored 9 unanswered runs. Cruz fires. Outside for a ball. 2-1. That one's fouled off by Vega. 2-2 the count. Cruz 1 pitch away from getting out of this with only giving up 1 run. 10 hits so far now for Post. Both teams have 10 hits. It's been an offensive slugfest in these first 4 innings. The first 3 innings dominated by Southern Connecticut, and then the bottom half of the third inning and on so far has been dominated by Post. Hit on the ground, just foul outside of first base over there where Drury is. Do it again, 2-2. As it stands, given how many arms the Owls had to use yesterday in the pair of games, as well as just the experience of their staff, it seems like. That one's in there for strike 3, and Vega rung up, and that'll do it. But you got to feel right now where we stand, the Eagles have the other upper hand in terms of the pitching depth that they can bring to the table. We'll see more of that pitching in the top of the 5th. Waiting to see if Joe Cristiano goes back out there. I believe he is going to. But waiting to see that. He will. So he'll have a chance to get the win if he can get out of this inning with the Eagles still leading. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left on base. Drury, Dillon, and Albert coming up for the Owls in the top of the 5th. Post leading 9-6. 72 pitches so far for Joe Christiana as he is back out there for the 5th inning. A struggling start for him. I was going to say rough start. A tough start for him at the beginning of the game, but the last couple of innings he has been able to retire the Owls hitters relatively easily. The one run coming across on that delayed steal by the Owls in the top of the inning. Of the 3rd, that is. Approaching the end of the game for women's lacrosse, only a couple more minutes left in it. They still trail by 14 goals. Two-1 is swung on, and they're going to say he went, so 2-2 the count. As Drury is caught swinging there. That one's going to be hit up the middle, and that's in the air deep. Trailing back to get it is Rodriguez. It's over his head. Drury going into second for 2. And he's got himself a double to start off the 5th inning. He's fired up on second, too. That'll bring up Patrick Dillon. With a chance to get a run back for the visitors. First pitch is in there for a strike. 0-1 the count to Dillon. Dillon so far today 0 for 2 with a strikeout. Left a runner on base. And that one's going to be popped in the air by Dillon. Cardona ranging into foul territory. Looking to grab it. He does. Big first out of the inning there. That'll bring Augie Albert to the dish. Albert, 1 for 2 with a run scored today. Takes that first pitch in there for a strike. Oh, 1 coming, swung on and missed. Count goes to 0-2 for Christiana, who again, like we mentioned, if he can get out of this inning, would be in line for the win. Outside for a ball, count moves to 1-2. Christiana, 58 strikes so far coming into this at bat. Make that 60. Pitches outside and move to 2-2. And it's just gone final at Lemoy Field. The women's lacrosse team drops their second game of the year 18-4 against Holy Family, and they're now 0-2 in conference play. That one swung on and missed, and there's 2 away now as Dillon down swinging. Isaiah Walker now coming to the dish with 2 outs, and a runner on second on the Drury double that came just moments ago. Outside for a ball, 1-0 the count. Walker so far today 2 for 2. With a run scored. Pair of singles for him. Swung on and missed, and count pulls even as Christiana looks to escape this fifth inning without giving up a run. It would be the second straight inning in which he is not allowed a run, and the Eagles maintaining a 3-run lead as of right now. That one's hitting the air to left center field. Ranging over to get it is Rodriguez. He does. And side retired. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on base. Rodriguez, Rivera, Roberge coming to the plate in the bottom of the 5th. Post leads 9-6. Demarius Rodriguez coming to dish in the bottom of the 5th. Post has scored 9 unanswered runs. As Jalen Cruz is back out there for the 3rd straight inning. He finished off the 3rd inning for Colin Blake. That one swung on and missed. 0-1 the count. Lead things off. Cruz is settled in after inheriting, well, I guess you could call what he inherited kind of a mess with the bases loaded and 2 outs, and gave up that 2-run single to Rivera before, which goes to Colin Blake's resume anyways for the day because those are runners that he inherited, as that one swung on and missed, and the count goes to 1-2. One, two is fouled off, and we'll do it again here now with the Eagles leading by 3 in the bottom of the 5th. If you're just joining us, Mike Vesey joining you on call. The Owls jumped out to a 6-0 lead across the first 3 innings of play, and then Post finally got to Colin Blake after having some opportunities in the first couple of innings. And we're able to scrape across 8 runs to take the lead as that one's fouled off. Added another one last half inning, and that's where we stand now in the bottom of the 5th. We're playing 9 innings, and then we'll take about a 30-minute snack break and play 7 more after that. And what will be the 4th game between these two teams this weekend alone. Pitches outside for a ball, 2-2. And then there will be all conference play from here on out for Post, although as it stands at the moment, they do have a game that is listed as postponed against Southern New Hampshire that may be made up at some point in the season. We still don't know if it will be, but there's a chance it will be. And that one's hit in the air to right field by Rodriguez. Going back to try and grab it is the right fielder in Grudaria. He's unable to do so. And coming around to third is Rodriguez. It's a triple for Demarius Rodriguez. And the Eagles are in business right away here in the 5th inning with a leadoff triple by Rodriguez. That was Rodriguez's first hit of the day. And I'll bring Justin Rivera to the plate. Two for three on the day with 2 RBIs and a run scored. Pitch is outside for a ball, 1-0. That one's in the air to left field. Ranging back to grab that is Albert, and coming home to score is Rodriguez on the sac fly. So give that a sac fly to left field. Rivera's got his 3rd RBI of the day as Rodriguez comes home to score, and the Eagles have their 10th run of the day. They now lead 10-6. Offense in these last 3 games against the Owls has really exploded, and they've done it really quickly here today. So no one on base now. The bases are cleared of batters or hitters. And Roberge now up to the dish. He's 1 for 2. Again, he's on 100 hit watch. This would be hit number 99 if he's able to get on here. And then has a chance for 100, obviously, if he plays in game 2. And we'll have plenty of opportunities to get it throughout the rest of the year. There's a lot of records that post-baseball is on the cusp of breaking. Some of them, like Joe Cristiano I mentioned earlier, that are it's really just kind of inevitable. It's a matter of when, not if. It's more of a matter of when they're going to break some of these records with how close they have gotten. Of course, there are a few other notable milestones coming up for some other players on the team that may not be top of the leaderboards in terms of historical records. But some of those players are currently not playing due to injury, so they may not hit them this year. And if they're not playing this year, they'll have a shot next year because they're not playing this year, so they get a year back of playing time if that is the case. 0-2 count after the 2 foul balls from Roberge. Hit in the air to right field. That goes foul. We'll do it again with the 0-2 count. Every post hitter except for Jesse Alfalo so far today now has a hit. Alfalo with 4 at-bats and again has that on-base streak going. And Cardona and Alfalo are the only 2 hitters to not have RBIs as well. So almost everybody for post has done something offensively so far. And I should note, obviously, that yes, Cardona doesn't have an RBI, but he's got 2 hits so far out of his 3 at-bats. And then Perez, of course, down there 1 for 1 because he got hit twice. So everybody has at least reached base as well, except for Alfalo. Roberge fouls it off again, and the count remains 1-2. This will be pitch number 8 of the at-bat. That one's hitting the air to right center field, and then going over to grab that is Grudadaria. 2 away for Velasco.
Number 33, Isaiah Velasco.
Velasco 2 for 3 on the day. He's left 3 runners on base. He has an RBI and 2 runs scored, as well as a strikeout. Since coming in, Cruz, 1 2/3 innings, 37 pitches, 4 hits, 2 runs allowed, both of them earned, a walk and a strikeout. Chopped on the ground, foul to the right side. 0-1. So far, 10 unanswered runs across the plate for Post in this one. after allowing the first 6 of the game. Joe Christiana is in line for the win right now. Colin Blake would take his first loss, of the season. If all holds, Velasco swung on and missed, and the count moves to 0-2. Blake would take his second loss of the year. He's 3-1 currently. O2 coming as Cruz looks to get out of this inning, and that one's hit line drive to second, and it's caught by Fideli. 1 run, 1 hit, no errors, no one left on base. Drocus, Gigello, and Fideli coming to top of the 6th. Eagles lead by 4. Zach Drocus to the dish, and Logan Pulatano now comes in for Joe Christiana. Christiana's day is over after 5 innings of work. So, again, he's in line for his 21st career win. He would then be 2 away as that one out the fly of the bat. Drocus hits that one over the head of Roberge into left field. He strolls in safely with a double. And the Owls look to try and get into business in this inning against Pulatano with that leadoff hit. Gigello now coming to the dish. Runner on second. Owls had a runner on second last inning and were not able to get him across, and now they'll try and do it again with Gigello up. So like I was saying, Christiana would be in line for his 3rd win of the year. He'd move to 3-0 if the Eagles obviously hold on to this lead, which would put him at 21 in his career. And the record all time is 22. So he'd be 2 away from breaking that record. Pulatano comes in this game, 2.35 ERA, 8 appearances, 1 save, 15 1/3 innings, 10 hits, 5 runs, 4 earned. He's upstairs for a ball. 5 runs, 4 earned, 5 walks, 9 strikeouts. He's allowed 5 extra base hits. Opponents are hitting 189 against him this year, and he's hit 3 batters. That one's in the dirt for a ball, 2-1. Pulatano checking on Drocus at second. Two-1 is fouled off, and count pulls even now at 2-2. No outs. Leadoff hitter and Drocus got on via the double over Roberge's head and left on the very first pitch of Pulatano's appearance. That's where we stand now. Here in the top of the 6th. Jagello takes that one in the dirt. 3-2 the count. Jagello, excuse me. 1 for 2 so far in the game with a strikeout. Just a single so far for him. 4 extra base hits so far for the Owls. Stovely with 2 doubles, Drury with 1, and Drokas now with his. So we head back to the 3-2 count here. Swung on and lined over third base. It's a base hit. Roberge picks it up in left field near the foul line. Coming around to score is Drokas. And it's going to be just a single for Jagello. I keep messing that name up. A little bit of a tongue twister there. It's a RBI single, though, for him. And Fideli now will come to the dish with a runner on first. And it's now a 10-7 game. So it was long 2 innings without a run for Southern Connecticut. And somebody's scored in every inning so far for both teams. So it was quite fitting that it would happen again. As that pitch is outside from Pulatano. Two 2-0 now the count. Fideli coming into this at bat 2 for 3 so far with 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored. He has 2 singles. They're both against Christiana. It's in there for a strike. 2-1. This top part of the lineup has done damn. Really, honestly, I'm looking across the board. I mean, there's 5 players with 2 hits already on this team, and it's been the bottom third and the top of the order that have really done the damage. The heart of the order hasn't done nearly as much. The 3, 4, 5 hitters, but the 7 through 9s and the 1, 2. You're like in the part of the lineup. The 7 through 9 and 1 and 2 all have 2 hits. That one's hit on the ground, foul. Full count. Line back up the middle, and that's going to be picked up by Vega. Vega fires over to first after stepping on second, and it was a double play. 4-3 double play. The umpire waited a long time to give the signal, so I could not tell 100% if they did actually call it a out at first. They did. It was a tight play, too. Bang, bang over there. And Vega, with a nice play, gets the double play ball there. Stovely comes to the plate with 2 outs, no one on. The 10-7 ball game. First pitch is in there from Pulatano for a strike, 0-1. Ball in the dirt, 1-1 now. Much top foul, and it'll go 1-2. Pulatano looking to escape with only giving up that 1 run. That one's lined into left field. It's a base hit. And getting on is Stovely for the 3rd time today. Roberge picks it up and fires it back in, and that will bring up Grudadaria with 2 outs in the top of the 6th. That was in the dirt. That's going to go wild behind the backstop, and so that'll go down as a ball and a wild pitch. Stovely moves over to second. Grudadaria now with a 1-0 count. Like I mentioned, both teams, just the pitching has not been good in this game, but again, it's also very cold out, so I can really understand why they might be struggling either to grip the ball or locate their pitches as they might want to in a typical day. Pitch is in there for a strike, 1-1. Run on second, 2 outs, 1-1 count coming. That one's lined on the ground to first. Cardona picks it up, steps on the bag, side retired. One comes across on 3 hits, 1 left on base. Cardona, Kelly, Perez coming to bat here in the bottom of the 6th for your Eagles. Michael Cardona to the dish. I'm a little out of breath because I just had to run down to the bathroom over near the football field, and we're back here. Didn't miss a pitch. Crew's still in. Cardona at the dish to start the bottom of the 6th. As that ball's down low, 1-0 the count. Cardona 2 for 3 so far with a run scored. He's one of only 2 players without a RBI. As that one's fouled off. The count's now 1-1. "14 hits for the Owls, 11 for Post." That one's in the dirt for a ball, and we go to 2-1 the count. 8 runs in the 3rd inning, 1 in each of the last 2 innings for Post. 1-4-1, 0-0, and 1 out the top for Southern Connecticut. Lined into left field, that's a base hit. And Cardona on for the 3rd time today.
Now batting designated hitter, number 58, Jalen Kelly.
The Eagles look to get in business again. I mean, as we're in the bottom of the 6th, it's important, like I mentioned earlier in the game, I don't foresee it happening at this point, but if the Eagles were to tack on 7 runs in this half inning, we would get into mercy rule territory. Pitch is down low for a ball, 1-0. No one warming either for Southern Connecticut. Now, actually, as I say that, they're going down there to warm somebody up. I was about to say, Cruz has been going since the 3rd inning. That one's in there for a strike, 1-1. Cardona on first. Kelly at the dish. He's 1 for 2 today. That one's in there for a strike, 1-2. Kelly's walked, has a hit. He's also scored once. Swung on and missed, and Kelly goes down swinging for the the first out in the inning, and brings Eric Perez to the dish, who's been hit by a pitch twice. And he's 1 for 1 with that RBI double that he had earlier on. And as we're getting ready for our 5th time through the order here in the 6th, if Alfalo strolls to the dish, unless there's a double play to end the inning. As that pitch from Cruz is over the plate, 0-1. Flied into right field, and that's going to get into foul territory, it looks like, and ranging over to try and grab it was Grudadaria. He's not able to do so. Over near the bullpen where they're, like I mentioned, all wearing jackets, so you can't see who is warming up, but there is somebody down there on the right side. Oh, 2 coming in the dirt, 1-2 now to Perez. Perez, like we mentioned, coming into this game, hitting .234 at the bottom of the lineup, but now with his RBI today, he's got 13. He's also got 6 doubles now of his 12 hits. And 1-2. On the ground, the short. That'll go down 6-4-3. And so I think I've done a couple announcers' jinxes now, but that's going to be a 6-4-3 double play as it's turned from Dillon over to Fideli and Drury over at first to end the inning. So nothing doing for Post after the leadoff hit. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, no one left on base. Drury, Dillon, Albert coming to the plate against Pulatano in the top of the 7th. Eagles lead by 3. All right, and we're back here. I moved to another part of the press box for the top of the 7th inning as some of our crew members who are over at the softball game, over at the women's lacrosse game are now joining us as we're running a 3-man operation. A big shout out to Eastern Connecticut's Jared Toffel for manning the third base camera, and Jarrett Michaels, our part-time sports information assistant, for taking photos out there on what's been a very cold day as we head to the top of the 7th inning. And now we have our graduate assistants, Jake Haddad and Grace Glasser to my left, manning production, which I was doing for the first six or so innings. So things should go a lot smoother now without without me trying to do that as well as call the game and do the stats. So we're really appreciative of everybody who's helping us out today, as this is still game one. We're in the top of the 7th inning. It's 10-7 Post, who trailed early on 8-1, or excuse me, 6-0, and now lead 10-7. That's Drury in the batter's box. He is 1 for 3 so far today with the strikeout. He's got a double. That one swung on and fouled off to the left. And after game one, we'll have about a 30-ish minute break, like I mentioned before we kick off game two. Game two will be 7 innings. I mean, this game could still only go 7 if Post were to put up 7 in the bottom of the 7th if the score holds where it is right now. 3-2 count coming, though, to Drury after that one's outside by Politano, who coming into this at-bat had 12 strikes on 20 pitches. Chopped on the ground, foul. Count remains full. Three-two coming again from Politano. Outside for a ball, and that'll be a walk. So Drury on base with a walk, and now Patrick Dillon coming to the plate. 0 for 3 on the day with a strikeout so far. Pretty much every inning has featured somebody getting on base for these teams. I do not believe we've had a 1-2-3 so far. I'd have to double check. And that's what I will do as we will head to a quick break, as we're going to get a pitching change here. And I'm waiting to see a number on him as Politano will exit. I think that's Eric Gutowski, but I can't 100% confirm. That is, in fact, Eric Gutowski, the grad student. He'll come in to pitch when we get back here on the CACC Network and YouTube. All right, back here for the top of the 7th. Aaron Gutowski on to face Patrick Dillon. Gutowski, 2.57 ERA as that one's fouled off. No, I'm sorry. That was hit into right field. And Vega's been everywhere on the field today. Renee Vega with another play over there. As that one goes down as a pop out to second base. Gutowski, though, with a 2.57 ERA, 1-0 record, 6 appearances, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits allowed, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, 9 walks to 5 strikeouts, and only 1 extra base hit. It was a double. Runner still on first, chopped foul, 1-0 the count, 0-1 the count to Albert. Isaiah Walker on deck. He's 2 for 3. The bottom half of this order is all 2 for 3. So if they can get out of the inning here. And as we were at that brief break for Gutowski coming into the game, I did in fact check. There has not been a 1-2-3 inning so far for either side. Now, the thing that you could, I guess, if you wanted to argue, was a 1-2-3 inning was the last half inning because the first batter did reach via single. And then the inning ended with a double play. So technically, with 1 out, so the next batter was retired, and then there was the double play to end the inning. Technically speaking, only 3 batters reached the dish to bat. However, because there was a single, it technically isn't a 1-2-3 inning because they got 2 outs with 1 play. Chopped fouls. We now have a 2-2 count from Gutowski to Augie Albert. Augie Albert 1 for 3 on the day. For Southern Connecticut, everybody but Dylan has a hit so far. And everybody except Alfala has a hit on the post side. So just offense galore for both teams so far. In what's been about a 2.5-hour game so far. And we still got 1 more to play after this. Chopped foul again. 4 foul balls in this at bat alone. This will be pitch number 8. After Gutowski was able to get Dylan on the first pitch that he threw to start his appearance. Swung on and missed. And Albert is retired, and that will bring Walker to the plate now with that runner on first. Seven, 14, and 0 across the top of the scoreboard. 10, 12, and 0 at the bottom for your Eagles. Looking to win their 9th consecutive game in a row, which would put them at the 2nd longest winning streak in program history. Win now and then winning game 2, it would tie their longest winning streak in program history, and they'd have a shot then to extend it later on next week as Gutowski takes that one himself, the first, as Walker hit it right back to him. And that will end the inning. So no damage done. No runs, no hits, no errors. 1 left on base. The top of the lineup, Alfala, Vega, and Rodriguez coming to bat in the bottom of the 7th. Until then, stretch it out as you're listening to Post Baseball on the CACC Network and YouTube. Top of the seventh inning, or excuse me, the live stats say top of the seventh, but the post is up. Bottom of the seventh inning, Jesse Alfala at the dish. He's 0 for 4. He's looking to extend that on-base streak to 18 games. This is probably going to be his last shot to do it, unless the Eagles bat around in the next inning and a half, or we have bottom of the ninth should Southern Connecticut tie it up. So if you're thinking in terms of what is potentially going to come, this could be Alfala's last chance to extend that on-base streak, and he will. Right into left field for a single. It's a base hit for Jesse Alfala, and he has 19 consecutive games in which he has reached base safely for Post University. And that'll do it for Jalen Cruz, which you got to give the freshman some credit. A fantastic appearance after being thrown into the fire with the bases loaded in the third inning. Excuse me, the junior right-hander. Give him a lot of credit for the outing he just had. We will take another break as we have a new pitcher coming in. I'm trying to see who it is. His glove is right in front of his number. It looks like number 28. Harry Roy will come in to pitch when we return here on the CACC Network. Rene Vega strolls to the dish. He'll face Harry Roy. Roy coming in relief of Jalen Cruz. Roy is a freshman. And Roy so far this year, a 5.17 ERA, a 2-1 record, 6 appearances. He started 1 game, as that one's in there for a strike, 0-1. 5 2/3 innings, 21 hits, 13 runs, 9 of those earned, 7 walks, 15 strikeouts, and he's allowed 5 home runs. Opponents are hitting .339 against the righty. And Vega lifts that one into right field, and that one's going to drop in for a base hit as Grudadaria is not able to get there. And Vega now on base, so back-to-back hits for the Eagles now. Having some issues with the stats here, so we're working to fix that. I'm working to fix that in between pitches, as for some reason the stats put in a different player. So working on that as we speak. That first pitch was in there for a ball, Now that one is swung on and fouled off. Gets out of play as Rodriguez is at the dish. One and one count. Rodriguez 1 for 2 so far on the day. Everybody has now reached base safely for Post in some capacity. Everybody's got a hit for Post. That's going to be a bunt. That will go down as a sac bunt. If he's safe, it's just an infield single, and it's going to be an infield single. So an infield single for Rodriguez. The base is now loaded for Justin Rivera against Harry Roy. And again, you may be seeing on your, if you're following along with the live stats, they're not correct right now. For some reason, they put Isaiah Walker on the mound, which did not happen. Isaiah Walker is the center fielder, and put Trace Morales in briefly too as a pitcher, which again did not happen. So working to fix that in between half innings, as had some issues pregame with the rosters for the Owls. Pitches outside for a ball. 2-0 to Rivera now. He's 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and a run scored. Only player with multiple RBIs so far today. That one's in there for a strike now. Count moves to 2-1. Two-one from Roy is down the middle for a strike. Count moves to 2-2. Nobody out still here in the inning. That one's just kind of flipping the bat out there, and a nice play over there at second by Fideli to get a double play. So no RBI for Justin Rivera. That's the second straight day that he's been retired by a double play that scored a run. Vega moves to third. Alfala scores. And now with 2 outs, Roberge comes to the dish with a runner at third, and he comes into this at bat 1 for 3 on the day. And that one's going to be lined to the right side. Oh, and that took a bad hop. That's going to go down as a single. It took a bad hop in the dirt. There was really nothing that Drury over there could do. And as a result, that is going to go down as a hit. That can't be ruled an error. I mean, yes, he got a piece of it, but the reason it's not going to be ruled an error is because the way it took a bounce on him in the dirt, it just took an awkward hop just past first base. So it's an RBI single for Roberge, who now has 99 hits in his career. He will look for hit 100 in game number 2 unless he gets another crack at it here in game 1. In the meantime, Isaiah Velasco coming to the plate with 2 outs and a runner on first. 12-7 Post here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Hit in the air to center field, Going back to try and grab that is Walker. He will not be able to get there. That's to the wall. It's picked up in left field by Albert. Coming around and scoring from third is Roberge. Sliding in safely with a triple is Isaiah Velasco, and the Eagles lead by 6. Michael Cardona coming to the plate after that triple by Velasco. He's got himself a 3-hit game. So does Cardona. Everybody has a multi-hit game so far except for Kelly Perez and Alfala. Right into the net, the fencing, right at my eye level up here in the press box. 0-1. So 3 runs across so far for Post. 13-7 they lead. One team has scored in every single inning so far of this game. Low for a ball. 1-1. Hit in the air to right field. That's going to be shallow. Going over to get it is Fideli, and the side is retired. But not before the Eagles. Strike for 3 more on 5 hits, no errors. 1 left on base. Drokas, Jagello, and Fideli coming to bat in the top of the 8th. All right, we got the stats figured out, so that's a positive here as we head to the top of the 8th inning. It's just a little messy in terms of how things have shaken out in terms of what we were dealing with the pregame, and now here we are headed to the top of the 8th inning. So all things are settled in with that. Pitch is down low for a ball, 1-0 the count, as Gutowski will look to finish off a second inning of work, with the bottom half of the order and the top of the order coming to bat here as he quickly fires in a 1-1 count now to Drokas. That one's hit on the ground to short. Alfalo over to first in time. 1 away. All right, Jagello to the dish now. 2 for 3 on the day with an RBI, and right away swings Vega. Wow, he went high to try and grab that one, not able to get it, and that's into right field for a base hit. So Jagello is on base, 3 for 4 on the day. And now to the plate comes Fideli. Fideli 2 for 4 on the day, and that one's outside for a ball. 1-0. Outside for a ball, 2-0. I'm looking at the box score, and yet again, something seems to have glitched out on the stats for Southern Connecticut, as now I'm seeing other players who have not entered the game suddenly showing up on my box score. So we'll try and figure that out in the next half inning. Gutowski fires the 3-0 outside, and Fideli's going to walk. Jagello over to second. And now 2 on with 1 out for Stobley. All right, Stobley at the dish now, and that's I don't even have it in the computer right now. 1-2 count to Stobley now after the foul ball. 13-7 post leads, 2 on with 1 out for the Owls. Not sure how the umpires will rotate for game 2. Right now, it's Justin Perry behind the plate, J.C. Fernandez at first, and Frank Urelli at second, at third. He's standing at second right now, but they call him the third base umpire. Fouled off to the left, and the count stays at 1-2. One-two delivery, and that's going to be in the dirt. That's going to be a wild pitch. Runners are going to move up a base, and now 2 in scoring position, but the Eagles with a little bit of breathing room because they picked up 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th. But nothing has come easy for either of these teams in terms of getting out of an inning. Both of them have, again, not had a 1-2-3 inning at all in this game, and there has not been an inning without a team scoring. And the way this half inning is headed, we could be looking at another run coming across for at least Southern Connecticut with 2nd and 3rd and 1 out, and now a 3-2 pitch coming to Stobley. That one's on the ground to short. Alfala picks it, fires over to first, and retires Stobley, but a run comes across. And like I said, every inning a run has scored for one team or the other, and that trend will continue here in the 8th as Stobley's RBI ground out makes it a 13-8 game. And dirt for a ball, 1-0. Outside corner for a strike, 1-1. Two-one count with 2 outs here. That one's outside for a ball. 3-1 to Grudadaria, who is 1 for 4 with an RBI. Drury on deck. He's 1 for 3. The middle of the lineup really has not produced anything for Southern Connecticut. It's been the bottom third and the top half that have done so. Pitches outside for a ball to Grudadaria, and now there's runners on the corners for Drury with 2 outs. I do see someone loosening up in the Eagles' bullpen. Again, with it being a 5-run game, you don't mind having to go to some arms deeper in your pen that may not always get regular appearances during the conference slate, just as a way to get them a little bit of action as long as the Eagles are holding on to a sizable lead. You don't want to throw anybody who, for example, may not have pitched yet much this year at all into a situation that they are not used to yet. As that one's going to get into the hole as Drury down the left field line, is going to stroll into second with the double. Coming around to score is Grudadaria, and that is going to make it a 4-run game now. A 3-run game as Fideli was on third. He was so fast in scoring, I didn't see him. And now Patrick Dillon will come to the plate as Ray Skold. Nope, I'm sorry, that's not Ray Skold. That's Brian Looney going out to the mound to talk to Eric Gutowski in what's now a 3-run game as Southern Connecticut has answered back with 3 of their own. Gutowski now at 33 pitches, 18 for strikes. Gutowski did pitch yesterday as well. Pitched an inning, gave up a run on no hits. Gave up a run on no hits, and it was unearned. There's also a walk and a strikeout mixed in there. He faced 5 batters and picked up the win. So this is the second time the Owls have seen him in less than 24 hours. Gutowski still looking to escape this half inning. 3 runs in, and they're threatening for more. Southern Connecticut has turned this game into looking more like a football score for both teams, as it's 13-10. And therefore, a strike, 1-1 the count. Chopped on the ground. Alfala coming in to get it. That's going to be a hard charge from him, and he's going to have to just loft it. That's going to go down as an infield single. Drury goes to third, and there's runners on the corner, which brings Augie Albert, the tying run, to the plate here in the top of the 8th inning. And that'll be it for Eric Gutowski. Ray Skold going out to the mound. There'll be a pitching change. We'll come back in a little bit. C.J. Pierce coming in to pitch what I believe is his 3rd straight game. Pulling up his numbers right now. Pitch is lined into right field foul. Count 1-1 now. Pierce pitched in the second game of yesterday's game. 2 runs allowed on 2 hits, 1 walk and 1 strikeout. Fouled off into right field again, 1-2 the count. Chopped on the ground. Vega grabs it and is going to fire over the first, and the inning is over. So the Eagles are able to escape trouble. They lead by 3 as we head to the home half of the 8th inning. Kelly Perez Alfala coming to bat for Post. All right, Jalen Kelly coming to bat. Eagles leading by 3, 13-10. Keep in mind, we still have one more game to go after this. 7 more innings. After about a 30-minute break. The Eagles looking to win their 9th straight game if they can get 3 more outs. Or if they can get 7 more runs this half inning, too. They would solidify their 9th straight win. 0-2 on the ground, foul. Thought it just got inside, but it goes foul, and count remains 0-2. Outside for a ball. 1-2 the count. We're starting to get somewhere on fixing the live stats if you're watching online. Still some things we're trying to figure out as Kelly lifts that ball into right field. He's going to hustle in and try and get himself a double, and he's out. Trying to stretch it. He's going to be out 9-6. So Jalen Kelly will get a hit for that, and then he's out trying to take 2. 9-6. That'll bring Eric Perez to the dish. 1 for 2 on the day. He's been hit twice. He's also got a double and an RBI. He scored once. And now he's going to pop it up into left field, and over there to get it is Augie Albert. No, I lied. It goes more towards center field, and instead getting that will be Isaiah Walker. That'll bring Jesse Alfala to the plate. With 2 away here in the Eighth inning. Owls will have one last shot to try and tie things up, and as that one's lined on the ground as short, picking it up and firing over is Dylan, side retired. So that's our first 1-2-3 inning of the game. Alfala's put out 6-3. No runs, one hit, no errors, one left on base. Walker, Drokas, and Jagello coming to bat in the top of the ninth. C.J. Pierce will look to close it out. It'll be a 4-out save for him if he can do so. C.J. Pierce back on the mound. He's going to look for 3 more outs to send us to game 2 with Post winning their 9th straight game. But he's got some work to do, as this bottom of the order has not been easy to face. He's wasting no time, as I was trying to look at the stats for him. Walker, Drokas, and Jagello have 7 combined hits. They're 7 for 12 with 1 RBI in total. Colin Blake would take the loss. He'd fall to 3-2. Joe Cristiano would pick up the win and move to 3-0. And Pierce fires that one low. It's now 1-2. Pierce would be looking for his 4th save of the season if the Eagles can hold on. Fouled off to the right. Count remains 1-2. Pierce wasting no time. Fires it high, now 2-2. Got a little bit to work with here, obviously, because it is 13-10. You just don't want to get into a situation. It's swung on and missed, and Walker is down swinging. Drukas now will come to the plate with 1 out here in the top of the 9th. Pierce, quick pitching again. It's in there for a strike. 0-1. Right back at it again. That's strike number 9 of his appearance so far. This win here, if Post holds on, be their longest win streak since March. As that one's chopped back to Pierce. Hold on a minute. Pierce is going to try and outrun him and then just throws over to first for the out. Drukas retired. Owls down to their last out. The Eagles with a win, if they can get this last out here. Longest win streak since 2023 from March 26th to April 15th when they won 9 straight games. As it stands at 8 straight games. April 22nd, 2018 to May 1st, 2018 is how long the win streak went from. First pitch to Jagello is hit foul in the count now 0-1. Pierce looking to nail down that 4th save of the year and send us to game 2 with the Eagles winning their 9th straight game. Fouled off, and just like that, Jagello is down to his last strike, and the Eagles 1 strike away from a 9th straight win. Comeback fashion, too. They trailed 6-0 early, and then they tagged Colin Blake for 8 total runs in the 3rd inning. And thankfully, because of that 3 spot in the 7th inning, they had some wiggle room to work with, as that one's fouled off. As Southern Connecticut answered back with 3 in the top of the 8th and made it a 3-run game once more. Pierce, ready to go. 0-2 count to Jagello. High for a ball, 1-2 now. One-two count. Line drive up the middle. We'll have to wait a little longer as Rodriguez picks that one up in center field. It's a single for Jagello. And that'll bring Fideli to the plate, who's been dangerous. 2 for 4 on the day with 3 runs scored, 2 RBIs, and a walk. Tying run is on deck. Hitting the air to right field. Looks like it's going to get out of play. Hustling over into right field to try and grab it was Velasco, but too far to grab. 0-1 the count. You already know Pierce is ready to go, but they're waiting for the ball to come back in. As the Eagles look to polish off their 9th straight win. Fouled off, and now the Owls down to their last strike. The Eagles 1 strike away from victory number 9 in a row. Both teams came into this game at 13-8. One will come out of it 14-8. Pierce, the 0-2, up high, ball 1. The Eagles looking to move to 5-1 at home this season. Pierce is ready, sets, fires. Swung on and chopped over to third. Rivera will take the force out at second, and the ball game is over. Eagles win this one 13-10 in comeback fashion. 13-18-0 for your Eagles, 10-18-1 for Southern Connecticut. Joe Cristiano moves to 3-0 on the year. Colin Blake falls to 3-2. CJ Pierce with his 4th save of the year. We'll be back for game 2 in about 30 minutes from now. Don't go anywhere. This is Post Baseball on the CACC Network and YouTube.